grew up in a really good home with very loving and caring parents. You know, the first time that I had to go talk to a police officer, I was 9 years old. That as I continued getting older, my behavior didn't get better. In fact, it just got worse. The desire to want to do wrong was so much greater than the desire to want to do right. My name is Jeffrey Jones, and this is my testimony. I had an amazing childhood. We lived on the same street for a long time, and so I had the same childhood friends from the time I was 5 all the way through high school, which was a source of stability for me and brought with those relationships a lot of positive memories. But there was something in me from as far back as I can remember that just loved to be rebellious and break the rules. I was always getting in trouble. It seemed that I didn't have self-control over who I was as a person. And even though I was learning all of the right things, there was just something in me that didn't want to do those things. And so even though I grew up in this great home, I was always looking for ways to buck the system. You know, as I continued to get older, I started doing some behaviors that were very negative. So I was stealing from stores. I was getting in fights. I was using a lot of profanity and things of that nature. And, you know, there was always that voice in the back of my head that was saying, see, you're not as good as everybody else. So I started experimenting with, you know, marijuana, ecstasy, alcohol. Drugs had kind of taken over. I was having really angry and erratic behavior. But I was trying to make something of myself while staying in active addiction and alcoholism, which was not going to work out because I couldn't do both. I was either going to have to be a full-fledged alcoholic or I was going to need to be a full-fledged functioning member of society. Like that victim card was not something that I could play because I wasn't the victim. I was just dealing with consequences of my own self-inflicted choices. I can remember that my dad had his guns in the closet, and I knew that the shotgun shells for those guns was in the garage. And so I was going to take my life that day because, you know, the drinking had just brought me to such a place of desperation. I really wanted to stop, but didn't have the power to do so. And it was just reliving a life where I felt like my innocence and my soul had been hijacked from such a young age that I never even had a shot. You know, the drinking and the drug use, it just took me and kept me in a place that I didn't want to be. And it was almost as if I was in this prison of self-will and self-desire, but the desires that I had weren't godly. They were dysfunctional, they were twisted, and they were lies from the enemy. Man, I had a death wish. Man, like, I wanted to die. I just wanted to die. Well, throughout all this time of me running the streets and going to rehab and getting sober and back and forth, you know, my daughter was growing up. She was 4, 5, 6 years old at the time. And other than a couple positive moments, I hadn't been present as a father. I'd burned every bridge in my family, and I had picked up a heavy drug habit that had altered the course of my life in a way that I never intended it to. And I remember saying, okay, well, God, if you're real, then I'll give you a shot. And that was my moment of salvation. I wasn't at the church. I didn't have all kind of supportive people cheering me on. I was in the darkest time of my life. I was homeless and addicted to everything under the sun. And I didn't have any friends or family because I had burned every bridge. And I looked up to heaven and I just asked God to help me, and He did. God gave me the opportunity to do ministry through Empower 225. It's been an amazing experience. God has taken all of those ideas and mindsets that I had that people were bad and that they were trying to get over on me, or that they had these ulterior motives and agendas. It's like God has been washing that away out of my mind. And He's been showing me the truth that when God says that He's for me and who dare be against me, I know without a shadow of a doubt that that's true. That I had done everything in my life to destroy it. And God had done everything in my life to save it. My name is Jeffrey Jones, and this is my testimony.